everybody. Welcome to episode 40 of the SMB Talks. Exactly 1 year ago, I started this show, and it's I'm feeling overwhelmed and grateful. I never thought this show actually started as a conversation between two friends. Everybody was struggling to grow their business because of pandemic, and I just called one of my friends. Okay, let's go live and let's promote your business. That's how we started. I started with talking to my friend Manu Srikumar, the founder of Gutch, and then another friend came onto the show, and finally I have covered several of global marketing influencers and interesting entrepreneurs on the show. 40 episodes, 39 episodes already done. This is 40th episode. So I'm so grateful for you all if you have watched the show, liked it on the YouTube channel, etc., etc. So this month, I thought, I started the show to introduce SMBs to the world, but on the way, I had a lot of detours, and I started bringing in individuals who are very different. Individuals who are kind of doing amazing work in their field, and I wanted to talk to them. I wanted to gain knowledge from them. I wanted to ask them a lot of questions. So that's how the detours kept happening. So this month, it's Mental Health Awareness Month, if you're not aware of it. So I wanted to dedicate this month to mental health. So what I mean by that is I'm going to bring amazing guests who are doing stellar work, helping people with their mental health and developing tools, technologies, practices around improving mental health, etc. So who am I to speak about it, right? So I had to do some reading. So I did some research over here. So when I searched about, every one of us have our own bouts of depression and our struggle, anxiety, etc., etc. I'm pretty sure there is nobody who is sane in today's world. It's impossible to stay that way, right? We have a lot of distractions. We have a lot of things. So when I was doing my research, I could find out that 7.5% of Indians suffer from some mental disorder, right? It's kind of crazy to believe it because it's still there's a stigma attached to this in the country, right? When I went to see a psychologist last year, when I told my parents that I went to, so my mom was like, "Are you mad or what? Why do you want to go to see a psychologist? You are perfectly all right." So that is how our parents still react to all this, right? And 56 million Indians suffer from depression. It's not a silly matter to push off, pull it on the carpet and move on. It's a serious issue. 38 million of all of us suffer from anxiety disorder, right? These are alarming stats if you ask me. And Indians account for 36.6% of global suicides, right? So we know that these times are tough, right? We all are going through COVID-19. First wave came, and I never had any of my friends telling me that my friend is having COVID or my father is having COVID, etc. But now, whenever a phone call comes, I'm worried what kind of news somebody's going to share with me, and we are so helpless. From I've been working with some volunteers to arrange a lot of things for a lot of strangers. People I may never meet. A lot of people passed on, "Thank you, sir. I got the oxygen on time," etc. It's wonderful, but there are again a huge amount of negative news hitting us every day. All right. Having shared all these statistics, when you look at the support for all of us, it's in a real bad shape, right? For example, in India, the percentage of psychiatrists and psychologists available are 0.3% and 0.07%, whereas the ideal ratio should be around 3%, desired ratio. So that's why I thought this month, let's talk to people who know the subject. Let's hear it from them. Let's note down some points which they will share with us and try to implement that in our lives so that we all can remain strong, mentally resilient. We can at least attempt to be mentally resilient. So today, I have one of the fantastic people who are working in this field for a very long time. So I have Smriti Joshi with me. She's a lead psychologist at Wysa.io, the world's first mental health chatbot with code support. She has been working in the area of mental health since the year 2000. That is 21 years, guys. She's an expert in tele-mental health service delivery, has worked in various settings as in schools, NGOs, private clinic settings, online delivery of mental health services. Her experience consists of building effective teams, including recruitment and training for mental health service delivery and using online modes like telephone chat, etc. She also offers training, content guidance, and professional development in the area of online delivery of mental health services. She conducts a lot of lectures and workshops in areas dealing with children and adolescents, parenting, marital issues, women issues, career counseling, and work life balance. So, without further ado, let me just bring her on. Hey, Smriti, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. You are audible.
All right.
How are you doing?
As good as one can in these circumstances. I think one day at a time is the best way I can describe it. Taking one day at a
Right,
time.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much for taking time out and agreeing to do this, and I'm honored that you're here. So, Smriti, just to give you a background, the format of the show is like I have curated a set of 10 to 12 questions around mental health, around your experience, about Wysa, etc., etc. So, if you're ready, we can start off.
Absolutely. Let's roll with it.
All right. The first thing, as I was talking in the introduction, mental health is one of the areas most of us take for granted. So why do you think it is a common tendency among all of us?
I think it's not, let me first say that it's not something that just we do it here in India. I think it's
Right.
something that happens across the globe. Maybe
Right.
here it's a little more than the other parts of the world.
Right.
We all have mental health, just like we have
Right.
physical health, we all have mental
Right.
health. And there's a distinction between mental health and having a mental illness. A lot of people associate the word mental, even if we say mental health, with something coming to their attention only when they think when there's a mental illness, one has to be conscious about taking care of their mental health. But just like we take care of our diet, exercise, sleep, every single day, to feel physically healthy, we need to take care of our mental health in similar ways. And one cannot separate the mind from the body, frankly. Like they say, a healthy mind and a healthy body, and vice versa, right?
Right.
So even if people are taking care of their physical needs to some extent, they're already taking care of their mental health. But when they become more conscious about mental health, that yes, if I'm feeling a little different today, I've had my food, I've slept well, but still there is something that is different today. Maybe I need to try and change something in my routine. Maybe I need to try and give a break. I need to take frequent breaks in my work. Anything uh, that seems to be adding to their stress levels or making them feel upset, not so good, even on days when they feel physically fine, means yes, it's a signal that you just need to start taking care of your mental health as well. It's invisible, you know with physical health, it's all visible. You feel weak, you feel sleepy, but what are the signs that one can think of to remind us that we have mental health and we need to look after it? The thinking of those signs would be very helpful.
Yeah, that's perfect. We cannot get we sometimes most of us I don't think understand if something is wrong with our thinking or maybe our routine, etc., etc. Absolutely. All right. So next thing I want to ask is all of us have never seen tougher times than the current what's happening right now. So why should all of us make mental health a priority during times like this?
I would say that right now it is one of those times, unprecedented. Nobody could predict this would happen. It's very unfortunate as well. And again, bringing that comparison of physical health, and also over here that we do not start working towards building a good physical health when there is a calamity or a disease.
Right.
We are constantly working on building our stamina, making sure we're eating well, we're exercising, we're sleeping, we're doing some things to take care of our basic needs to be able to so that the body is prepared to fight with any such unprecedented events that happen to the body, like a fever, an illness, or something like that, right? The immunity. Similarly, if we have good psychological immunity, we'll be able to deal with the difficult times better. No one can predict what can happen 5 years down the line, or as of now, the scenario, we can't even predict what's going to happen the next week,
Right,
And
right.
if we are not taking care of our physical and mental health, we are letting ourselves get affected. There is no way to stop that effect. But if you're not taking care of what's happening to us at this point in time, it's only going to make the coming days more difficult. So,
Right.
as simple as something like that, we need to build this immunity, this resilience to be able to deal with difficult days better, to be able to take all those decisions that we are having to take right now, to
Right.
be able to deal with all the kinds of unfortunate news, events coming our way. It's very important that we take care of our mental health, specifically in these days.
Absolutely, completely understand that. Right. So, other thing which I wanted to ask you, all of us are dealing with a lot of uncertainty nowadays, be it health, career, relationships, etc., etc. What is your advice for everyone who is facing such kind of uncertainties at the moment?
I wish I had the right answer, the perfect answer to that. You know,
Right.
um, I lost my dad in Jan. I was here in with him in the hometown for 3 months with him, and said a very nice goodbye to him. And he was healthy. He came to wave goodbye to me when we were leaving, and I had not thought that after 4 days he would not be there.
Right.
I had to fly back to my hometown because uh, he just decided to leave.
Right.
So, I mean, and I'm sure this has happened with so many people right now, currently, the way the illness has happened, the way our relatives, our loved ones are going away in a very unfortunate, very untimely way. The uncertainty is something that's really right in our face right now. And like I said, I wish there was a perfect answer to it, because there is none. uh, Humans have survived through a lot of catastrophes like this before also. And what has helped, what research says has helped, is to try and focus on what one can control versus what is out of one's control, right?
Right.
So for example, if I imagine myself in the middle of two concentric circles, and the first circle that surrounds me is the circle of my control,
Right.
and it has all those things that I can directly control. For example, my diet, my
Right.
sleep, to whatever extent I can, and with the help of whatever aids I can. My exercise routine, my conversations, how am I dealing with my feelings? Am I reaching out for help to
Right.
someone if I am dealing with difficult feelings? What I
Right.
cannot control is he's not wearing that mask.
Right.
What is the government doing about this? Why are people not bothered? Why is the oxygen not available? So these are valid questions. These also lead to a lot of difficult emotions like anger, and those are valid feelings. We all, if we wouldn't be questioning, I would be surprised why aren't we questioning. Or if these times don't make us concerned and worried, I would be concerned more about that. Why is it not worrying you? Because in some ways, worry or anxiety plays a useful role. It helps us prepare well for these times. For example, at least when I step out, I will make sure that I'm carrying my sanitizer and I'm wearing my mask, and I'm wearing a double mask as well. It's because I'm concerned, and that concern is coming from that anxiety about the uncertainty. I don't, what if I fall sick? What if my relatives fall sick? Right?
Right.
So, something to remember is to stay in the here and now,
Right.
to not kind of venture out on social media platforms and listen to a lot of news. Stay away from
Right.
there.
Right.
Only go to reliable sources like WHO or some other reliable sources that are there for people,
Right.
and just focus on each day as it comes, because that is the only thing we have control on.
Absolutely. Focus on what you can what you have control on. That's absolutely fantastic advice. All right. So you just I'm so sorry to hear about your dad. By the way, even my mother-in-law passed away 10 days
I'm
ago.
so
So
sorry.
I can understand what you're going through. So
I'm so sorry to hear
loss.
that.
Yeah. So loss of someone we love, even a lot of people are losing their job. All these things can build up a lot of anger in people. So I've been hearing, I've been with conversation with a lot of my friends and extended colleagues, etc. There's a lot of pent up anger. So how does one deal with that kind of anger built in without, before it causes too much damage to themselves?
See, we've all been dealing with so many changes because of this outbreak.
Right.
We've lost so much. I think anger. All I always see anger as the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
It is not the primary emotion. There are many other things which are bringing it up, but what we feel is anger.
Right.
So they could be pain, they could be frustration, they could be grief, they could be helplessness about
Right.
the entire situation that gives rise to anger. And it's important to validate that, because if we feel ashamed or guilt about feeling angry in these times and not being able to do about it, it is not going to help those underlying feelings which are giving rise to this anger. So it's very
Right.
important to address the anger, that it is basically an expression of all these feelings. It is letting us know where we are right now with our those particular feelings, and it's time that we respond to those feelings.
Right.
And something that one can remember is an acronym called RAIN. So R, recognize when you're angry and identify its presence in your body. People would always feel the anger first before they spell it out, or before they take that step of breaking the glass, or getting into the destructive side or a
Right.
passive aggressive side. So you would
Right.
feel it somewhere in your body. You'll feel your fists clench, or you'll feel your jaws getting tight. So recognize where you're feeling it in your body, right? Then the second one is accept that the anger is there, and it is perfectly all right to be angry. There's nothing wrong with being angry.
Right. Right.
But how am I responding to that feeling is more important. Am I acting on an impulse because of it, or kind of nurture that anger in a way that, imagine that if you had that inner child inside you, and if
Right.
that child was feeling really angry, what would you tell that child?
Right.
How would you address those needs for that child? So that would be a lot of compassion for yourself, that I think the times are such, there's so much out of control, I wish things could be better. And this
Right.
is all, these things are actually what is pushing up this anger, and I need to work with these feelings, and that is how I will address the feelings of anger. But invalidating anger, and it holds true for not just myself. If I see my partner upset or angry, it's the same thing that I need to do even with them, rather than reacting to why are you like this. And I know there are a lot of short circuiting happening in most of the families right now because of the lockdown, shared workspaces, with children, with parents staying with us. So it's a difficult time. So even if there are moments where we have a slip down the road, where
Right.
we do
Right.
take it out on someone, and you realize you've done it, go and talk about it to the other person, that, hey, I was feeling like this and I'm sorry that I did that. I really didn't mean that. So I think also being very honest about your feelings and communication are some ways to work if the anger is impacting your relationship as well.
Right. Right. Well, that's absolutely valid points there. Right. So I next question again. I just wanted to know, touching upon the kind of grief which people are going through. Many of us are grieving. Again, losses like loved ones, jobs, and many other things happening around. What is your advice to folks who are in pain and in grief? What is your advice?
I'm going through one, so I can share what's helping me,
Right.
and the advice that my therapist given me.
Right.
I'm seeking
Right.
help for it because I know it's a difficult time, and it gets overwhelming to manage so many things that you're anyways managing on a daily basis in a different
Right.
way than before. And then there are these events which are impacting our lives even in a worse way. I would say the most unimaginable ways.
Right.
Grief is something that is going to stay for a while.
Right.
There's no way we can fight it. There's no way we can push it away. There are stages in grief.
Right.
The first few stages could be like denial and disbelief and anger. Like when I lost my
Right.
dad, I was finding, who could I blame for it? Is it the doctor who did not reach? Is it the ambulance who did not reach in time? Why did my dad not tell me? Why did he not tell anyone what he was going through? So there was a lot of anger. And I would sit on his bed, I was open his cupboard, I would look at his clothes, and I would be like, it's the physical presence that's missing. Everything else is here around me.
Right.
And there's no way you can kind of fight it out. One has to live with it.
Right.
One has to live with the absence of that person. And I think that is grief. Grief cannot be taken away, but grief gets us into a new phase of our life where we have to adapt to a new way of living without that person, and that acceptance can take time. And in that time, again, what helps is a lot of nurturance for self, a lot of self compassion, where we uh, at least agree on this point that there is no way I can bring this person back. Or there's no way I can, at least, if it's regards to the job, there's no way I can go back to that job. But does it mean it's the end of opportunities for me? It's a different scenario when you lose a loved one and when you lose a job, because one may find a job again, but the loss of a loved one is not replaceable like that.
Absolutely.
So I think with the love, you need to allow that space. Like if you get injured somewhere really badly, you know that wound takes time to heal, and we
Right.
have to give it the time. I cannot hurry it up. I think that's
Right.
something to remember. But if it extends beyond, say, 8 months to a year for an adult or a child, then it's definite, and it's impacting your sleep, appetite, mental health in ways where you stop doing all those other things which were giving you some source of joy,
Right.
achievement, then it means you're heading towards impairment. The mental health is getting affected, and it's time that you seek help for it. It is not necessary, again, like we wait for that moment to come where we absolutely get into that phase.
Right.
Mental health support is not for people who have mental illness or for whom the grief transforms into complicated grief. You can take
Right.
help anytime. Just
Right.
talking to someone, just letting it out, just like we let the steam out of a pressure cooker. It's important to keep letting that steam out
Right.
to help contain our feelings and to manage them better. I
Got
hope
it.
that
That's
made sense. I'm sorry I spoke a lot.
yeah, that's absolutely
It's
fine. That's
something that
what
I'm going through right now. So, I mean, and it's collective. I know so many people are going through it.
absolutely, absolutely. But as you mentioned, the pain of a loss, loved one going away from us is that cannot be compared to anything, job or whatever it is. Right. Thank you so much for sharing that. Right. So now another thing which everybody goes through, we, you, and all of us go through is stress. Right. We have various forms, various contributing factors to stress. So stress and mental health almost goes hand in hand. Both discussions happen simultaneously. So can you explain how stress can impact all of us negatively, and how can we some mechanisms to cope up with stress?
Like you rightly said, that stress impacts us all.
Right.
It's important to understand that stress is not always bad. There is something
Right.
called eustress. So there needs to be a certain amount of stress, a certain amount of tension to push ourselves to do something.
Right.
It is the push and pull factor in our lives which makes it so. If I have a job to complete, an assignment to complete, but if I'm not concerned about the deadline, if there is zero anxiety, zero stress, what will push me to do that work? So a little bit of push to propel us into action, in the physics terms, if I can say, it propels us into movement.
Right.
So that amount of stress is good. But if that stress becomes bigger than the trigger of that stress, which is my work, my relationship, then that's concerning. If I see it is impacting my physical health, a lot of uh, disorders which are now being seen in younger generation, which were earlier used to be seen in people above 50 or 60, like high blood pressure, diabetes, heart problems, obesity, because of not hormonal problems, not because of emotional eating. You know, so
Right.
there are a lot of these conditions which can impact our body directly, and then they
Right.
can have an impact on the mind, which can lead to anxiety disorders, which could lead to depression. It could lead to a feeling of hopelessness, helplessness, that I'm not being able to handle. It could lead to a lot of negative thoughts in our
Right.
mind about our own abilities. So if you notice thoughts like, I can't do this, so you're second guessing yourself, there is self doubt, or I feel the person who I am interacting with, or my team, or my other the partner, my partner, my relationship, they could be thinking like this about me. So I'm trying to mind read them. They may have not
Right.
given any signals, but it's because that stress makes me put the spotlight on myself,
Right.
and it makes me second guess everything, something that I do, and something, and how others perceive me. So these are all signs. So physically, it could be sweaty palms, racing heartbeat, palpitations, in certain scenarios, like an office setting, or in a or while driving, which it's different for different people. Stress
Right.
triggers, and the emotional signs or the cognitive signs would be, you feel hesitant, you feel frustrated, you feel helpless, you feel hopeless, and then you will notice these unhelpful thought patterns like, mind reading the other person, predicting or generalizing, because I couldn't do something well yesterday, I will never be able to do that good again. So black and white thinking. So these are
Right.
some thought patterns you can watch out for, and if you notice it's happening a lot, then these are exactly the areas you will work on to manage the stress. Right.
Okay. Okay.
And you can do
Got
it
it.
by yourself. There are a lot of self-care tools available, a lot of self-help resources available, and you can also
Right.
do it with the help of a professional or a therapist.
Got it. Got it. Fantastic. All right. So next thing which I wanted to discuss, which is again connected to this pandemic, is social isolation and loneliness. Right. Most of us, a lot of my single friends, especially, they are all living alone, and they have, they're facing loneliness on a different scale altogether. That's also adding to the mental health woes of most of us, during this pandemic. So how do you think, is there anything we can do to manage that part of that aspect of this pandemic?
Um, Again, I think it is something which has just entered our lives like a have to do thing, because we are prioritizing safety and health. So it is the kind of reasoning we give to ourselves as to first step to addressing is the reason we give ourselves for being in this isolated situation. Why is it happening?
Right.
And it's not just why me. There's so many of us. All of us are in this together. That
Right.
feeling that it's not just me alone. There are a lot of people who are struggling with it. Helps build that connect in the first place with everyone else,
Right.
that I'm not the one suffering this by myself. My friends, my family members are also dealing with it.
Right.
Then I always say that social isolation is not equivalent to emotional isolation. You can always continue to connect with people virtually. I know it doesn't really have the same impact. I have had clients talking to me about missing physical comfort coming from hugging, or or just from the physical presence of another person, specifically those people who have been left absolutely alone,
Right.
who do not even have roommates with them right now. So it is
Right.
indeed very challenging for those people, and I think making efforts to stay connected with their loved ones on a regular basis, even if it means a call. I know it
Right.
can be frustrating. You could have shorter calls on a daily basis and a longer video call on the weekends,
Right.
and then having something to engage you with on a daily basis, or at least 2 to 3 times a week of in addition to the work that you have. So it
Right.
could be joining a cooking community, it could be joining a gardening community, it could be getting involved with some volunteering work. If you feel one could do, like I know some friends who are staying by themselves and they've got involved with serving food to the street dogs on the roads.
Right.
So they go out late in the night or early in the morning when the rush is to the minimum. There are no people on the road, and they go and serve food to. So they often say that when you do volunteering work, when you help another being with their suffering, it helps you give comfort to your own suffering as well. So I would
Absolutely.
also recommend that, and it also gives you a sense of community because you're meeting new people. They may not be your friends, your family members, but you're still connecting with people in different ways. And I also know because it's happened. It's been over a year we are dealing with this, right? There was a brief break where we all felt, yay, it's over and let's get back to meeting people and going out. But then it again led to a boom. So I
Right.
think some control would always be there. So also understanding that some part of it will be present in our lives, and it is a very difficult change one has to kind of live with. So also whenever you get the opportunity, and if your work and if your context allows you to go back to your place where you're with your, like, I moved from Pune, I had no relatives in Pune. My entire relative friend circle is in Delhi, and my husband, we decided to leave Pune and come here because we realized that in this calamity it's very difficult to stay away from your loved ones, because you may need support, they may need support. So there are some bigger decisions to be made which you can take later when things are better. The COVID spread wise, it's lesser. We've all got vaccinated. Uh, yeah, and get vaccinated, everyone.
Right. That's the most important thing to do today.
The most
Right.
important thing to do it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. So, other term, one of the terms which come whenever we talk about mental health is self-love. Right. Self-love, everybody says, can go a long way when it comes to taking care of our mental health. So, what are your thoughts on the same? What does it mean by the term self-love?
Yeah, self love at one point, if we would have uttered, especially in our South Asian context, would be considered being selfish, because we are a collective tribe. The South Asian community is very, we think collectively, we talk about our feelings with each other. We're not from the individualistic cultures. But
Right.
to break that myth that self love does not mean you are going to be pushing yourself away from people, or it's not that, oh, I will be selfish. A simple example of self love or self compassion would be when you board an airplane and the instruction is put on your oxygen mask before you help someone else. You
Right.
know, so that is the key. That is the base from where this concept has originated. That unless your own cup is full, how will you pour
Right.
from it for anyone else?
Absolutely.
So uh, if you remember the analogy I gave earlier, to think of an inner child, of your inner child, we all carry it at some point or the other. In some theoretical orientations in psychology, they say we have three parts in us. There is a child self, there is a parent self, and there is an adult self. Or there's another orientation where we say there is the id, ego, and superego. And id is compared to the inner child, which is I want it here and now.
Right.
you know and then your ego comes in and says, but you can't have it here and now. you know it's
Right.
very difficult to have it, and then the super ego will come and say, okay, fine, you do not have that conflict with yourselves. You can have it, but we will have it with some delay. Until then, you'll have to manage your impulse. No.
Right.
So we already have these theoretical orientations which have talked about the concept of various levels in with even within us, where sometimes we are when we notice very difficult emotions specifically, if we consider those difficult emotions being displayed by our inner child, punishing, being harsh will not help at all.
Right.
It could always make that inner child more stubborn. So what is going to help is self love. You bring in that love, you bring in some compassion for yourself, and ask yourself, what is it that I can do in this moment which will help me deal better with this feeling? Feelings are temporary, they will pass. you know
Right.
I may be sad
Oh,
in the morning and better in the afternoon and again worse in the night, depending on the contexts. But there is
right.
again something which I can control, which is, what is it I can do in this moment to work on this feeling? Can I watch a funny video? Can I talk to someone? Can I give myself a foot massage? Taking a warm shower to relax yourself, or anything else that is your go to calming or relaxing tool or exercise, a meditation, mindfulness exercise, will be very helpful in addressing these feelings.
Absolutely. I think self love is the most important kind of love there is, I believe. Right. Moving on, since we are talking about, times like these, I wanted to know from you, what are the best ways one can leverage to make mental health a priority now? And what are some of the common activities may you follow or you advise to your community as well?
I think conversations like these, like the one you've arranged for today, is one way to create awareness to make people realize. So I think allowing these conversations even within our friend circles and groups by checking in on each other
Right.
regularly, not just for physical health, not just checking, hey, are you safe and all right, but also, are you feeling emotionally safe? Are you being able to talk about your feelings? How are you doing today? How was your day? So, having those small talks or having those check ins, which otherwise feel very unimportant, would be very helpful in these days.
Right.
Normalizing mental health conversations is very important. So
Right.
allowing, so even at workplace, like, and I can talk about my workplace, Wysa, where the it comes from the leaders, the
Right.
founders, the management team, where we have a channel on our communication platform where we go and say, today was a difficult day, I couldn't do anything, or I had these
Right.
10 goals listed, I could do only one of them, because I was stressed. So when you bring up these conversations, and in a larger space with your family members or with your team members, and you're in that capacity where you can have some influence, is a good way to kind of make people understand that mental health is a priority, and one cannot be a robot constantly on autopilot doing things by the clock, because
Right.
one day that is going to lead to burnout and extreme stress, which will then in any case impact the physical health. So even if this motivation is can be this motivational thought, if we can kind of think of it like, it is going to impact my physical health someday, so I need to make
Right.
this a priority, because I don't want to be in a position where I'm not able to look after myself or be physically independent, or it let it impact my immunity in any ways. Those are
Got it.
some things that come to my mind with regards to how we can leverage these conversations and make it a priority. Some things which I am doing is, I make sure I have a routine. That is very important, because working from home can make us feel available all the time. It can make us
Right.
also feel that, what if my boss is thinking that I'm sleeping away because I'm working from home, but I'm not actually working. So you give
Right.
extra hours, and if you see a colleague online at 10 p.m. but you are away, that can also stir up some anxiety, with regards to, oh, this person is online, and they're getting those brownie points, but I'm not being able to get those brownie points. So I think building those boundaries for oneself, that I may not be spending 20 hours of the 24 hours working, but I'm still able to give some deliverables every day, because I have a routine. And
Right.
even on some days, if it doesn't go as good as I had wanted to, there's always the next day which is coming up. So prioritizing the tasks, um, having a routine really helps. Uh, I think till the pandemic had not struck, I've been working from home for the past 10 years. T-shirt and pajamas were my dress to be in. I only
Right.
started to getting into formals ever since the pandemic started, so that it gave me a sense of, this is my work time starting when I'm getting into my formals, and this is my
Right.
work time ending when I'm getting out of my formals back into my t-shirt pajamas, because I love to be in those. Those are my comfort things to go to. Right.
Right.
So setting some sort of boundaries, even for the workplace, you could have a specific place to sit and work, and then a calming corner for yourself in the house where you could just sit back and relax for a while. Take frequent breaks in your day. Even if you're a homemaker, you deserve those frequent breaks in the day. So, because you're constantly tending to children, doing their classes online, and remembering their homework and conversations with the teacher happening, and checking if they're not on other social media platforms at the same time, cooking, and then multiple things happening. So
Right.
again, those boundaries are very important. That
Absolutely.
this is my time. So again, all of these are linked, right? My self love. If I'm not doing this for myself, then very soon I'm going to get burnout, and then it'll lead to stress and anger and frustration, which is something I do not want, in addition to what's happening already around us. I think
Absolutely. Absolutely.
building a routine, and then doing whatever you like to do at some point in
Right.
your day, some activities which are just for yourself, just for yourself, not
Right.
not necessarily quality family time all the time. The quality me time is also important.
Absolutely. Totally,
Yeah, and
totally relate.
yeah,
Yeah, please go ahead.
and I mean, because we are staying in, some of us who are staying with a lot of family members in the house, it's best if these things are talked about as well. That if I'm not available at a certain point, it is because I would be kind of recharging myself, just like your phone needs charging, and I'll come back and I'll attend to this. But for these 10 minutes, I just want to be by myself. And I think it also, again, makes everyone think about that, that okay, then what can I do? How can I make what can I do for my quality time? Yeah.
Right. Right. Absolutely. So a lot of the most of the things which you mentioned are totally relatable, especially when it comes to work from home environment. It's totally different than why we were going to office. Right. So I hope these points, whoever is listening to this, will try to implement some of them. So that was pretty much about today's topic. Now I want to talk a little bit about your work and yourself. So first thing which I want to know was you're a lead psychologist at Wysa and a chatbot that makes everyone feel heard. So when I was doing research on mental health experts, I came across this tool. It's a 3 a.m. friend, and I've installed it on my phone, and I'm
Yay.
trying to use it. So I just want to know, can you introduce all of us to Wysa?
Yeah, so like you said, it's your 3 a.m. friend. uh,
Right,
that's something that we introduced by the way. It's anonymous, it's very safe. When I say it's a chat, when you said it's a chatbot, a lot of people may know what chatbots are because there are different kind of chatbots now for marketing,
right,
sales, for different things. uh,
right,
this is a mental health chatbot, and when we say chatbot, it's simply an automated program where in the absence of someone you can actually speak with. Say you do not want, sometimes we have these feelings that I don't want to share it with this person, what will you think of me, or I don't have anyone to talk to right now, but I'm feeling really stressed and I want to let it out. So Wysa is that platform where you can talk to it at any point in time and actually about anything. So we're not really limited to mental illnesses. You can say
right,
I'm stressed, you can say I had a fight with my husband, you can say I had a bad day at work. So you can try different scenarios. We've tried to keep it very broad. It's not designed. I would say it's the world's largest co-design experiment because it's been designed with the help of the user feedback that we've received from day one. Until day,
right,
we respond to every user feedback that we receive on our Play Store, App Store, or via mails. So, say for example, if you use it today and you say, "I didn't feel heard when I said so and so thing," and we'll
right,
make sure that the next time you try it, you will find that now you're being heard for that. And that is how Vysa has grown and the Vysa community has grown, where we when we launched it, we were very apprehensive about that who would talk to a computer.
right.
It would be impersonal and people wouldn't talk to it. But within no time, within first 6 months of its launch, we had about a million users already using it across the globe, and today we have 3 million users for
Wow,
us.
wow,
And they're all coming and talking to this bot because like I said, it's kept with the user in mind. We are not trying to right now, we have a different work happening around clinical apps, which are evidence based programs for specific illnesses or conditions, but this app is for everyone. And it also make recommendations like this is if there's a specific point where it feels that it is something that you're bringing up which it can't address, it will say go and speak to a therapist.
okay,
And it will also give you recommendations for a lot of exercises. We have like 150 plus tools and exercises within the app for different scenarios like managing anger, for sleeping. And we also won the best Google Play app of the year award in the health
right,
category. And our sleep app, we also have a sleep app by Vysa, which has also been really appreciated by a lot of people. And they say they have been able to kind of, getting better quality sleep since they've started using it. It helps you with sleep routines, it helps you with sleep meditations. And like I said, it has many other exercises in it which will help build resilience. And we have a
right,
third layer, which is the human layer,
right,
which we have coaches or therapists. I have a team of about 25 people. And again, the therapy offered is via text. So it's
okay,
completely discreet. We don't collect any personalized information data like your phone number, your email ID. You can just simply download, enter a nickname for yourself, and that's it. And we're following HIPAA and GDPR guidelines very closely, so it's very safe. We don't keep, we redact any personally identifiable information or health information from our databases, whether it's the therapy chat with coaches, or whether it is on Wysa.
Right.
Yeah, so
I
go
think
try, use it.
absolutely. I installed it yesterday, and the Wysa started advising me some visualization exercises, which I'm a big fan of. So I kind of looking forward to use it more. All right. So I believe that Wysa tools like Wysa are a need of the hour right now, because a lot of us, we have our own apprehensions to talk personal stuff with our friends, that they will make fun of us. Even to family members, it's sometimes difficult. So my question to you is, how do you think Wysa can help individuals during times like these, and why I think everybody should look at tools like Wysa more seriously?
See, one benefit, if I can talk about some of the data that we got from our conversational analysis on the tools, we realized that uh, there are three chunks of people. You know,
Right,
the ones that benefit from meditation
right,
on one extreme, the one that benefit from medication on the other extreme. So people with mental illnesses, or people who have absolutely nothing, but they just want to work on personal growth and build new skills, like how can I visualize, how can I work on motivation, just learning new
right,
skills. And there's a huge chunk of 60% people who are struggling, but are
right,
not thrive, but are not being able to kind of live their life as well as they wanted to, but they are in neither of the categories. They do have some problems, but they are still not as big to be diagnosed, thankfully, as a mental illness. And there's a lot of struggle. So what Wysa does is, or tools like Wysa, self-help tools like Wysa would do is that, one, it bridges the gap, because like you said earlier, there are not so many professionals available. And
right,
even if one would get access to this professional, you will only have sessions spaced at least week, 2 weeks apart.
right,
And to begin with, you would need more support. Vysa is not a replacement for psychotherapy or
right,
psychotherapists or medication. So we would like to make that very clear. It only augments these processes as well. So we have clients who are in therapy, who are on medication, but are using Vysa to practice the skills they're learning in therapy
right,
with Wysa, because Wysa has, like I said, of 150 plus tools and exercises, all from evidence-based psychotherapeutic methods like cognitive behavior therapy, dialectical behavior therapy, visualization exercises, mindfulness exercises. And then it also gives them that timely release of that steam that gets built up by venting out and feeling heard.
right,
So, in a way, when you're texting, you're also reflecting on your own thoughts. The minute you let your
right,
thoughts out and you read it, you're maintaining a distance from it. So that activity by itself is very helpful. A lot of therapists would say journal your thoughts,
right,
write about your day. So that is what you're doing with Vysa. And you're learning that skill on your own, so it helps you be emotionally independent and more resilient.
right, absolutely. Right. Guys, if you need a 3 a.m. friend, don't check in your Facebook. Go to App Store or Play Store and search for Wysa, and or else go to Wysa.io, wysa.io, and check out the tool. It's fantastic. One of the best tools available. And try talking to the bot, which is much smarter, and which will guide you through a lot of things. So try using that. So we have come to the end of the show. So I ask this last question to every guest who comes here, which you already shared. I know you had your own tough situation in January, etc. But how was this entire COVID treated you personally and professionally, and how do you think 2021 will pan out?
See, when it started, like everyone, I thought it will phase off, it will
Right,
phase out. There will
right,
be some point where we will return to normalcy, which was our normal ways of living. I
right,
had not thought there would be a second wave. It was ignorance, it was arrogance about being a human winning over a virus. It could
right,
be any of those things.
right,
Uh, but it's humbled, this whole experience has been very humbling, that there are things we cannot take for granted, like our relationships, like our own self, our own health. uh, uh, every day I think started believing in this motto that live your day as if this was your last day on the face of the earth. So live it to the fullest. Do whatever comes to your mind, whatever you want to do, can do in these particular scenarios. um, I'm not losing hope, because history says that we have seen through many more catastrophic events, which a lot of other species could not survive, but we could. But I think like I said, it's also made me very conscious about my purpose,
Right.
which helps me with being more focused and more present in my daily life. I try to help people outside my professional, who I meet outside my professional space as well, because I think I associate it with my purpose of my. That's I think that helped me choose psychology as a field many years back. So I'm sticking to it. So I'm sure everyone has a purpose, a value for which they have been striving and living, that nobody can take from you, that still stays. So, what are some things you could still do, keeping that purpose as mind, will help you keep going every single day? That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. Fantastic. It was such a pleasure talking to you and listening to your insights. Thank you so much, Smriti, for coming on the show, and I'll be in touch with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And one thing I would just like to say in the end, that don't worry. I won't say don't worry. It's okay if things that I suggested today don't seem to work, because most of these things are like skills. You may need to practice them over and over again, and
Right.
you may need to try different things that suit you, given whatever your context is. And feel free to reach out via
Absolutely.
Vivek. I mean, I'm okay with the you sharing my social media things also. I help a lot of people over DMs as well, so that's fine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you so much, Smriti. Take care and stay safe.
You
Speak
too.
to you soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So that was Smriti Joshi. How much of how much mental health knowledge she was carrying when she was sharing. It's such a pleasure to meet such people on the show. I learn a lot of things from them, and it's amazing to hear them share their journey. Right, we are all going through tough times. I want all of you to stay safe, and there is two more Fridays in this month, so I hope to bring two more interesting guests this week talking about mental health. Till then, self love, take care of yourself, and always stay safe. Thank you for watching today. See you next Friday.